Hey guys, what's up and welcome to another episode of 2-Bit Talks, and today I'm going to talk about Wolfenstein 2 for the Switch, and more in particular I'm going to talk about Digital Foundry's analysis of the Switch version. I'll have the link to their article in the description below, but I must say I have Wolfenstein 2 on my Xbox. So I didn't get this for Switch, but I watched this just because I like seeing the differences between ports. And I'm very impressed with what the development team did here. Essentially, they've been able to make no sacrifices, or compromises I should say, by getting the entire game onto the Switch. That being said, they made a lot of sacrifices in other departments. And what I mean by that is, visually the game is a downgrade from the PS4 and the Xbox version. It runs at a steady 30 frames per second, doesn't shoot for the 60 like the original port does. So, but besides that, the game in its entirety is there. They didn't cut back levels, they didn't take chunks of the game out. The visuals might have been downgraded, but even then, the levels in their entirety are there. They might have made some changes here and there on the levels, but it's the entire game is there. This is something I think should be celebrated, because in the past, whenever there would be ports made, whether it be, you can go back to like say the Wii version of the original Black Ops made lots of sacrifices on the levels. There were cutscenes that they made for the Black Ops Wii version where the PS3 and Xbox 360 version had a level. It would just be a cutscene in the Wii version, so they couldn't even, like the Wii, I don't know whether it be on hardware side it couldn't handle a level like that, or maybe they couldn't fit enough information on the disc, or both, but the Wii was definitely underpowered. So that version was completely different from the other versions. You go back to the 6th generation, the original Splinter Cell on Xbox and of course PC were made, by, was it Ubisoft Montreal, I think? But Ubisoft made it, and the PS2 GameCube version were different from the original versions. They even had their own little features and quirks. Some of that came down to just because, especially back then, multiplats would try to shoot for, the PS2 has this exclusive level, the GameCube has this exclusive feature, and the Xbox has this feature. So you would get a multiplat and it was basically the same game, but maybe one console had an exclusive level. And at least with Splinter Cell, back to what I was going to say, there were levels that were in the original version that were taken out, and maybe that's because the PS2 and the GameCube were less powerful than the Xbox or PCs at the time. You can even go back to Sega Genesis and Super Nintendo. I actually recently played through Toy Story on the Sega Genesis and Super Nintendo, and Toy Story, the Sega Genesis version, has a level that the Super Nintendo version doesn't even have. For some reason, the Super Nintendo version, it just was cut out, or the team that was working on that one didn't add that level. But besides that, it's mostly the same game. It's just the Super Nintendo version is missing a level. And there could be several reasons for that, but back to what I was saying, it's rare that you see a port like this, especially to a less powerful console, be so true. There's been the entire game is there. Sure, the visuals have been cut down, the lighting has been cut down a bit, and the effects with the water effects in the games have been cut down a bit, but the game is there. You can play the entire game. You play through the entire campaign the same way. It's the same campaign as the Xbox and the PS4 as all the others. And that's what I'm impressed with. They took that game in its entirety and put it on the Switch. It reminds me of Capcom with Resident Evil 2 on the N64. They took what was a 2-disc game on the PlayStation and packed it into one 64 cart. And I believe there was like audio files compressed and all that, and they had to cut some corners, but besides that, the entire game was there. Usually that's what you get with ports like this, is something major gets cut, you know, where it's like, oh, I'm missing an entire portion of the game because they couldn't fit it into the GameCube disc, or an entire portion of the game because, you know, the Wii couldn't handle, you know, that level. You know, it wasn't powerful enough to do that level. So I think that this is awesome. I think when, of course, the Switch is still early on in its life cycle. So, you know, we're still at the, you know, we're only like a year and a half, maybe not even a year and a half into the Switch's lifespan. But I think when we close the book on this console, we're going to look back, especially with Bethesda and the fact that we got Doom on there. We have, of course, Wolfenstein. They put Skyrim on there. The fact that you have all of these, well, especially Doom and Wolfenstein, not so much Skyrim, but Doom and Wolfenstein, that you had these big AAA new released games. And sure, it came out a little after the original release, but still that you got these big games that were put on this console that was technically weaker than, you know, its competitors. But they were able to still get those games. I think that's going to be something we look at and are impressed with. You know, we're going to go, hey, you know what? The Switch might not have been as powerful as the PS4 Pro or the Xbox One X. Might not have given you 4K gaming. But damn it, they gave you gaming. You know, the one drawback with Wolfenstein, from what I saw in that, you know, that review of it, is it's on the Switch. It's a very blurry game, especially if you play it in docked mode. Not so bad when you're undocked. And as far, you know, it's pretty much a steady frame rate. There's some portions of the game where the frame rate gets wobbly, they said, but besides that, it's like a real steady performance. I just wanted to talk about it because I love stuff like this. Now, I'm probably not gonna get the Switch version because I already have it on Xbox. But hey, if you guys are looking to pick up this game and all you have is a Switch, go for it. You know, it looks like you're gonna get the entire game just in handheld mode, and you can take it on the go with you. You can't say that about the Xbox, you can't say that about the PS4, and you can't say that about the PC unless you have a laptop that's powerful enough to do that. Then you can technically take it on the go, I guess. But yeah, that's all I wanted to rant about today. Thought that this was cool, awesome news. You guys sound off in the comment section below what you guys think about this. So of course, guys, be sure to hit that like button, hit that subscribe button, and ding the bell. That way you keep up with everything we're doing here on the channel. And as always, stay safe and play on.